Today marks 1736 day of day lessons, day reflections. Today I speak about a very interesting topic, and that is revisiting past lessons and importance of it. Because I will share 7 reasons why it's very important to revisit past lessons. And one of the lessons I just revisited like a year ago, and it was such a powerful lesson. I realized that the things that I was anticipating about the topic that I was speaking about was exactly what really happened for me. Such an interesting thing that you sometimes you're able to really make a lesson and reflection and be prepared for things to come, because I think this is important sometimes to reflect. Okay, what would happen in certain situations, and when you reflect on that, when things really are happening, now you're ready. But at the same time, there's so many things that when we look into the past, we're able to learn so many things. And today, I'm still quite sick, but that doesn't matter. I will do my lesson the best that I can. And I think that this topic is extremely important. So let's get started. So number one, growth isn't always learning something new. It's seeing something old with new eyes. I really love that. And one of the biggest things of examples that I sometimes even could give is reading a book a second time. That is revisiting your past lessons as well. It's not just your lessons, just the things that you're learning from. And sometimes I just don't understand when people say that oh, all personal growth books are the same. They speak about the same thing. Like, are you not growing at all? I don't understand how you can see that those books are the same. Because if you're reading the same book after 5 years, you will see different things. If you grew, if you didn't grow, if you're the same, yeah, like probably the same book. But if you grew, that means that the things that you have now is seeing is for different eyes. This is not the same you that's reading the book. Now it's total different version of you. And I think that is exactly the same with any kind of lessons. When you think about our past and we say, okay, what did I learn? What did I learn? What kind of lessons I really gathered? And then really reviewing the same lessons that you learned in the past, because sometimes even could be that, oh, such a great lesson I learned in that season. But now when you look into new eyes, when you look into new version of you, the old lesson that was so profound, now it's not profound anymore. It's just a regular lesson. I have found so many times, like because I used to and I take notes, and I used to take notes in the past as well. And sometimes when I look into the notes that I took 8 years ago, and I look into it second time and third time, I'm like, how did you find this important? But I know that for old version of me, it was important. And it's a beautiful thing that some things was certainly important for my old version of me, but now it's not anymore, and that's all fine. Number two, the lessons you avoid revisiting are often the ones you haven't fully integrated. And this is a beautiful thing is that when you learn something new, it's not that's you finish. You learn the idea, but really integrating that idea in your life, that's what true success is. And sometimes when we revisit our past lessons, we're able to say, did I really integrate it? Because if we avoid reviewing the lesson, and sometimes it might be even very difficult lesson about yourself, about life, and if we do not revisit that, we are not able fully integrate. Maybe we know the idea, maybe we know the lesson, but we don't live by that lesson yet because we didn't integrate it. And sometimes we need to really say that if I don't revisit this lesson, I will not have within me. And that's extremely important. And we stop practicing what we know. Number three, memory fades. Wisdom requires reminders. Memory fades, and that's a beautiful thing when you really look into your lessons in the past. And I record my lessons, and sometimes when you go and couple years before, and I don't remember even speaking and or even reflecting on this idea, on this lesson, on this specific thing, and memory fades, and sometimes really going back and to have reminders of the most important things. Maybe you don't need everything because life is seasonal, but sometimes we really need to go back to the basics, back to foundations, and really remind ourselves what truly matters. Stress test our ideas, because I think that the best people don't rely on their memory. They always have the habit of remembering. Number four, Every level of life demands a deeper understanding of the same principles. And this is again such a beautiful thing. Every level of life demands a deeper understanding of the same principles. So it means that you had a lesson, you had a great idea, and when you think about rating something, it's even a lesson, you know the depth of that lesson, maybe from 1 to 10, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 6. But now when you get to a new level, you need to understand the same topic, the same principle even better. So going back to it and going even deeper into that, this is what true success is. Being able to remind of the most important principles and go deeper when you reflect on that is such an important topic because life will bring a lot of complex situations. And we really need to understand, okay, how do I show my discipline, my patience, my courage, my humility? Because humility has a rating as well from 1 to 10 and lessons how to be humble, how to be disciplined, how to be consistent, how to be persistent. And now, when you go to a new level, you need to understand even better how to keep the most important principles in your life and then bring those ideas to life. That is extremely important. Number five, your old journal can become your future mentor. And this is a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. I even found that sometimes an old version me in some areas are wiser than current me. So my current me, of course, is in 19% of the times is wiser of my old version of me, 99% of the time. But there's certain things that my old version of me is wiser at certain things. And being able to look into that old journal and say like, where you can teach me, where I lost myself, where I misdirected my steps, where did I made mistakes, and really look in their journal as a mentor to re-guide to the most important things, to re-guide in the principles that really matters. So even old journal can become my future mentor because our current self make mistakes and sometimes they make choices that are not the best for us. And this is extremely important. And we'll need to look for insights even from the old version of us. Number six, revisiting isn't moving forward. Revisiting isn't moving backwards. It is strengthening your foundation. And I really love that. Because repetition is really going back and saying, like, what is in my foundation? And really just make sure that it's strong. Because sometimes even going back to foundation, realize that foundation is wrong. And you need to really remove all the foundation. Because if you don't go to foundations, if you don't go to the principles of your life and non-negotiables, high priorities, and you're still trying to build on top of it, new floor, new floor, new floor, well, your foundation is leaking and they're very humble. At some point, all the building will fall down, and it will not look pretty. So being able to go back and revisit the foundational things is extremely important. It's not going backwards; is strengthening foundation. To going backwards, to going to not backwards, going to back to the foundational things because our mind seeks novelty, but novelty not always matters. Now, novelty is extremely important. When you build strong foundation, you need to really have exposure to different things, experience things, reflect on those things, and build the wisdom. But if the foundation is not in the right place, novelty doesn't matter. It'll fall down anyway. So that's why its foundation is revisiting. Number seven, last thing that I want to mention is life keeps repeating lessons until they become part of your character. It's interesting because lessons are just lessons. Until you repeat those lessons so many times, it will be saying, "Oh, it's just such a great idea." And they're like, even myself, I was like, a great, I hear an idea, and I was like, "Oh, such an amazing idea." But sometimes when you really keep repeating and living and practicing on that idea, you don't think that it's a great idea because this is just became who you are. And now I realize that sometimes when I think about that, the such a profound things that used to be for me, because I really loved it so much and really wanted to live in it, it within me, I started implementing and practicing and living it, and it became part of who I am. And that idea doesn't is not profound anymore because this is who I am. That's such a beautiful thing, and I think that we need to develop lessons and keep repeating those lessons that are non-negotiables, that it becomes our character. That becomes who we are. That's the beautiful thing, but I'm able to go back to the most important things, revisit past lessons so we could really make ourselves who we want to make us, who we want to be. And that's a beautiful thing. So the last thing that I want to mention is that the person obsessed with finding the next great lesson often misses the power of the last one they already learned. Because sometimes we can learn a lesson and ask, like, did they actually observe? Did they absorb everything from this last lesson? Because sometimes we learn a lesson, we got motivated because it is such a beautiful lesson. We get excited, we get dopamine, but we're not supposed to seek dopamine. We're supposed to get change, transformation, evolve into something different. And when we said, okay, I absorb this lesson, now, okay, I'm going to say that I need novelty right now. But before that, sometimes we need to just to go back to the to old lessons because that's where the true growth lies. Because if we didn't use that lesson yet, there was no growth, just dopamine. So I hope you choose to win and see you tomorrow.